What's up, friends? I'm back with another video. We have some pickups today, so I have a few things I really want to show you, and let's get into it. So first up, you probably saw the Hawaii video and said, oh, Blake got something from Bottega, and I did. Unfortunately, they did not have it in the store at the time, so I had to wait a little bit, but I'm very excited to have it now. Chili red cassette bag in the paper version of it. So if you don't know too much about Bottega or about the cassette bag, it's one of their best sellers, and it's basically this woven leather fabric. And so there's long pieces of leather woven together. And instead of having a leather backing, you have this kind of soft paper material that almost has a leather-like quality to it. And this is great because it reduces the overall bulkiness of the bag and makes it a little bit easier and slimmer profile to wear and a little bit more masculine, in my opinion. So you also have the signature triangle Bottega logo here on the strap, and then it's also sewn in here on the sides. And overall, it's a super low-key bag. There's just a single compartment with one pocket inside of it, and then a hidden snap magnetic closure. And yeah, it's a really exciting piece for me to have. It's not something I probably would have bought 6 months ago or a year ago, because for the longest time I really optimized my wardrobe to try to be, practical and functional, and something like this big of a splurge just wouldn't have fit that criteria. But over the last few months, I've realized, number one, that you have to kind of go outside of your comfort zone and buy stuff that makes you happy and not always the most practical. Because if you go the most practical route, a lot of times your wardrobe's gonna end up being very boring and plain. And that's kind of what I had. It was just a very traditional masculine wardrobe with a lot of conventional silhouettes. And that just doesn't feel very much like who I am or who I'm trying to be anymore. So having something like this that is a bit more experimental for me and a bit more bold is really exciting. I know that it's probably hard to style, you're thinking, so I did film 3 outfits that I'll show you towards the end of the video to hopefully give you some ideas of how you can incorporate something like this. Next up, I also got something from Prada. I have this nylon bag in this kind of like small, compact messenger silhouette. It also has the signature little Prada, side bag as well to it. And I really love this. I think it's a lot more casual and kind of sporty than the Bottega bag, which is great because I think it adds another layer of versatility to my wardrobe overall, which again is not the end goal, but you do want to have a wardrobe where you can have many different outfits with few different pieces. And yeah, if you don't know about the nylon, in 1994, Prada released the first nylon backpack. It was their, challenging the status quo of luxury goods were always in leather, and they said, well, what would it take to use a different material that was still very practical and durable and ultimately usable on a daily basis? And they started using nylon. And it took a few years to start taking off, but in the early 2000s, it really became a hit. And today, it's one of their best sellers. So they actually use leftover fabric scraps and carpets and a lot of other different sources, and they recycle them and clean them and ultimately make this luxurious nylon fabric that is sustainable and reusable, and you can use it in perpetuity. So it's a really cool way for Prada to, again, have more of a luxurious take on something that maybe isn't quite as noble or coveted as something like a leather would be. But it has this very durable kind of hardware to it. It feels very kind of gorpy or like, it's camp gear or something like that. It has this nice heavy duty buckle in the front. Obviously has the Prada logo, which actually has RFID in it, which I think is cool. So essentially, if you were to ever buy this secondhand, you can contact Prada, and because it has this, they can authenticate if it was legitimate or not, which is pretty cool. And then also here on the strap, you have it saying Prada, which again is pretty cool. And the thing I like about Prada is while they do have a tendency to use some logos, it doesn't feel so, in your face as like a Louis Vuitton or Gucci monogram. And I feel like while Prada is a very esteemed luxury house, it's not something that like everybody knows about. So even if you see the logo, I've joked with my wife, you might mistake it for like a Guess logo instead. So in a way, very similar to the Bottega bag, since it is so minimal on the branding, it's one of those things where it's very luxurious and beautiful, and it just might not be something that necessarily catches a lot of attention from other people. So if that's not important to you, I think this is a great fit, and I'm really excited to use this and incorporate it into my wardrobe. All right, and on the very opposite end of the spectrum, I have these awesome cowboy boots I picked up while in Phoenix. So while we were in Phoenix, I was looking to get some cowboy boots because you're in the Southwest, you got tons of cowboys and ranchers and whatnot. What better place to get cowboy boots, right? And so I did a quick Yelp search or Google, and this guy, David Espinoza, popped up, and I said, okay, let me give it a try. So like right before our flight, we ended up going there. It's like on this side road, very, nondescript building, just a bootmaker with like a gravel parking lot in front of it. And you go inside and it's very small. There's maybe, 10 different boots within each size that they all make in-house. And David himself was sitting there. He's been making boots for over 50 years, and he helped us out a ton. And so I'm very happy with these. I actually ended up missing our flight because David talked to us for about, 30 minutes, basically telling us his life story, which, great guy. But basically it's like this brownish red toe box, and then you have a tan shaft going throughout. Very cowboy-esque, very urban rancher, which I love. And so something that I really appreciate is you don't always need to buy stuff from the well-established or big brands. Sometimes it's cool to buy stuff that very few people have access to, and these are definitely it. I think they look great with a ton of different looks, and I'm excited to wear them over the next few years. Next up, we also went to New Mexico and picked up 2 Native American jewelry pieces. So the first of which is from Shiprock Santa Fe, which is basically a native jewelry store in Santa Fe. It was started by this guy named Jed, who over the last 30 years has developed tons of relationships with different tribe members and has really made a way for himself in collecting and selling vintage jewelry. So this is from the 1970s. It was made by a Zuni tribe member and has these turquoise and coral stones on it with also some just metalwork detailing throughout. And I think it's awesome, right? You're getting a bracelet that's lasted over 50 years. It looks great. It's very Southwestern. It's very kind of cowboy-esque, but that's not something I'm really afraid of. I think one thing that I do that helps me in styling things like this is just kind of reduce it down to what it is. It's just a blue and red bracelet. So when you think of that, what colors, what textures would look good with that? Don't worry so much about some of the design elements, and just think of them as ways to add to it instead of subtract from the look you're going for. And next up, I picked up this sterling silver bracelet from a Navajo tribes member while I was in Santa Fe, Bobby Trujillo. It's just a really beautiful bracelet. It's sterling silver, like I said, has these sunrises that are etched into the sides. Inside it has these arrows and also has Bobby's initials, BT, that kind of certify the authenticity of it. And just really cool overall. I got a chance to talk to Bobby for a little bit, and really cool guy. He'd been making silver for over 40 years, he said, and he lived all the way in Cuba, New Mexico, which is about 2.5 hours away, and he drives all the way to Santa Fe for just a couple days, like every month or so, just to sell some of his crafts. And really cool to have it. I think it's something that will age beautifully and get a really nice patina to it. I usually don't really gravitate towards silver, but I think when you think about mismatching jewelry, it's okay. It does not need to always be gold on gold or silver on silver. Like, you can intentionally mismatch jewelry. The only person that you really need to worry about at the end of the day is yourself. If you're okay with it, then it's okay. And lastly, I got this awesome jacket from TSS. It has this beautiful like circular jacquard pattern, these 2 shades of brown, and the internal lining is a shearling and has a shearling collar as well. And I just love this jacket. I think it looks so good with a lot of different earth tones that I like to wear, and it's warm, it fits me great, and I just love TSS. I think Takuji is one of the most slept on designers in all of menswear. I've said it before, I'll continue to say it. I really think that he hits it out of the park every single season with a few different pieces. I've heard some people complain that they don't think everything he does is great, and I think that's fair. I do think that he definitely does design more so for a Japanese audience, but a lot of the stuff is great for an American audience as well. So if you are looking for some really interesting outerwear or shirts or knitwear or anything like that, definitely check out TSS. It's one of my favorite brands, and for very good reason. Segueing into the next section, I had a viewer reach out, Aaron, on Instagram. We had a nice chat, and one of the suggestions he gave was to do more styling content. So this is for you, Aaron. We're going to be styling the red cassette bag from Bottega Veneta, and to give you an idea of how I think about styling outfits is I try to look for one piece that I want to be the statement piece or the focal point of the outfit, and here it's going to be the red cassette bag. So to accomplish that, I'm going to use some muted or toned down colors to really help bring out the vibrancy within the bag. In this look particularly, I love the casual informality of the cowboy boots juxtaposed with the luxury and elegance of the bag, and I just think it looks really killer together. This next look is again a very similar playbook where I'm just taking really muted colors overall and I'm using them to help accentuate this bag that I have that I want to be the standout piece within the outfit. So this is a little bit more of a dressed up look, one that I think would look good in an office or on a date night or whatever you choose to wear, this to. And overall, you just have a nice wool crew neck sweater, a classic bomber jacket, some white pants, brown boots, and you're good to go. I think it's a pretty classic outfit overall, but then you add in this bag and it really gives it kind of a modern edge to it. And it looks, chic and new and not boring at all, which is what I was going for. And lastly, this look is probably the most casual of them all, and one that I don't feel like quite executed how I needed it to, because I just don't have the wardrobe for it. But I love how the red within the coat plays off the red within the bag, and I think that if I find the right pieces, this could be a great look together. I think this could be really fun with some like balloon pants and then like a patterned shirt or top, because in a situation like this, I think sometimes it just makes more sense to send it, just go for it, full blown maximalist, and I think you'll end up liking the result a lot more. So maybe in a few months when I have some different pieces in my wardrobe, I'll get there. But for now, this is the best I can do. And I think it's about 80% of the way there. So pretty happy overall. And that wraps up things for today. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you all soon. Peace.